A family argument ends in tragedy in Taiwan. 8 people are killed in a huge fire, 4 of them children. Xi Jinping and Vladimir Putin agree to deepen ties in their latest phone call. Abuse of the elderly is on the rise in Taiwan. We look at why. Plus,
Made move for TaiwanPlus, and today we're here at Seizure Hospital in Taichung to learn how Chinese medicine is being used by Taiwan to help fight COVID-19.
a warm welcome to TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. An arson attack on an auto repair shop in Hsinchu in northwestern Taiwan has left 8 people dead, 4 of them children. The owner's youngest son started the fire after an argument with his mother.
都是关系人的里面住在里面的他的家人这样。我们知道关系人表示他公称是因为有纵火的关系，那应该是有类似家庭纠纷这样的状况。
The son bought a can of gasoline, went up to the second story where his family lived and set the building on fire. The suspect's father escaped and managed to subdue his son with help from neighbours. The suspect is now under guard in hospital, being treated for burns. Chinese President Xi Jinping has reaffirmed his support for Russian President Vladimir Putin. That's according to China's state broadcaster. The 2 leaders held their second phone call since Russia invaded Ukraine in late February. Earlier that month, Beijing and Moscow announced a no-limits strategic partnership. The Kremlin's account of the latest call said Xi noted the legitimacy of Russia's actions, blaming what it called security challenges created by external forces. China has refused to join the US, the European Union, Japan, Taiwan and others in condemning Russia's war in Ukraine and imposing sanctions. Analysts are raising the alarm over a set of new guidelines for China's military. These allow so-called non-war operations to be carried out overseas. Details in Chinese state media have been scarce, but Taiwan analyst Dr. Guo Yuyuan says the move will enhance China's grey zone warfare in the South and East China Seas, the Taiwan Strait and the South Pacific. I spoke with Dr. Guo and began by asking whether China has clear distinctions between war and peacetime military operations.
For peacetime operation, militaries, they have regular routes or activities to carry out without any surprise to other countries. And for wartime operation, of course, the military needs a victory. So they do whatever they need to do. So this gray zone is like in between. It looks like a regular, routine military exercises. But in Chinese case, a lot of these routine or regular exercises are very arbitrary and very aggressive. So it doesn't look like a peacetime operation.
You said that, in fact, the language that was used in these new guidelines almost exactly mirrored that of Russia's language around its special operation, as well as the Pacific Island security deal that fell through.
It is almost exactly the same language they used when Putin, I remember it was 21st of February before the Russian invasion to Ukraine. The exact language Putin was using. And also, it is exact language China used to sign the security agreement with Sovereign Islands, talking about protection of national interests of China, protection of Chinese personnel, assets, station infrastructure, their projects overseas when necessary.
So do you think this is the first direct evidence that China is learning from Russia's invasion of Ukraine?
I think this language Putin was using and also on these new guidelines, yes, I think China learned a lot from Ukraine war and how Putin manipulate the situation of Ukraine.
How alarmed should Taiwan be as a result?
I believe from now on, China's gray zone activities like their aircraft and vessels cruising or carrying missions surrounding Taiwan will be, in terms of strength and frequency, will increase a lot starting from now on, and all the way to the 20th Party Congress end of this year.
Abuse against Taiwan's elderly population increased during the COVID-19 pandemic. That's according to government statistics. And abuse rates are set to get a lot worse as the country's population rapidly ages. To mark World Elder Abuse Awareness Day, Bing Wang spoke to Professor Cai Chang-ying of Nanhua University.
What kinds of abuse do the elderly in Taiwan face?
1 in 6 people 60 years and older experienced some form of abuse in community settings during the past year. Rest of abuse of older people are high in institutions such as nursing homes or long-term care facilities, with 2 in 3 staff reporting that they have committed abuse in the past year. So rest of abuse of older people have increased during COVID-19. According to the statistics from the Taiwan's Ministry of Health and Welfare, the number of family violence reports in 2020 reached as 178,000 cases, an increase of 11% over 2019 and a record high. Among them, the largest increase in the number of abuse cases is the elderly abuse, with more than 8,000 cases, and the increased rate of violence is 25%.
So you talked about how during COVID-19, elderly abuse has increased. Yeah. Why do you think that is?
During the COVID-19, many older people stayed at home, and they will vary the lifestyle, and with the adults and the young people, they have many interaction issues. So they will fight, they will quarrel, and they will make many fight at homes. So our research about the 2020's number and the elderly abuse is highly increased in the past year.
What can the Taiwanese government do to help prevent elderly abuse?
Yeah, Taiwan government can do something like listen to older adults and their caregivers to understand their challenges and provide some support. Emphasis on family care support resources and mechanisms. Report abuse or suspected abuse to local adult protective services, long-term care institution, or the police, and educate oneself and others about how to recognize and report elder abuse, and learn how the signs of elder abuse differ from the normal aging process. And I think the Taiwan government can do like integrate elderly abuse into school or community education, continuing to expand the social perceptions of the elderly, provide elders with education and multiple health systems. And the last one, I think the integration of community resources to prevent violence against the elderly is very important.
Almost 140 kilograms of cannabis buds have been seized at Taiwan's main airport. It's the largest drug haul ever found by the airport's police. Officers at Taoyuan Airport found the drugs hidden under clothing in suitcases. The cannabis has an estimated street value of more than $30 million. The seizure happened in April, but police have only revealed it now. 4 people were arrested at the airport, including a father and son. They were allegedly paid up to $20,000 to travel to Canada and bring the drugs to Taiwan. Police later arrested 2 more people connected to the case. A brutal attack on women in a restaurant in China has triggered vigorous debate and censorship about sexual harassment and violence against women in China. The incident in Tangshan in northeastern China was captured by CCTV cameras last week. It shows a group of men assaulting a customer and her friends after one of the men touched her and she pushed him away. The video went viral, but censors have deleted online posts and accounts discussing the incident, saying those posts incite hatred between men and women. For more on this story, our reporter Ryan Patrick spoke with Liang Xiaowen, a lawyer and feminist activist who pioneered the Me Too movement in China.
This incident has become a huge news story both in China and all around the world now, suggesting it didn't just shock people, but it also resonated with them in their experiences. So the police are now trying to pass it off as more of a one-off gang-related incident. But what can it tell us about just how prevalent violence against women is in China?
So many people commented online that this is just a tip of the iceberg, which is definitely true because including myself and my friends, we have all experienced different degree of aggression that's like posed by male strangers. And actually, this incident was able to go viral simply because there's surveillance footage, like there's video footage everywhere that people can access. But we all know, like outside of this video footage, outside of this particular incident, there are so many other incidents that are happened every day that like violence against women happened in China every day, whether it's in rural or urban areas. And the worst part is that there's no reports or data that's provided by the police or local governments that people can access. The reason that people are asking this question is because there's no transparency. We don't have access to data. There's no reports. They are not doing any research on it, so that people know that, okay, how serious these issues are. We don't have anything, we don't have a number to prove that.
Social media platforms in China have been very aggressively policing the discussion around this topic. We've seen countless messages and posts deleted for, as they say, inciting animosity between men and women. And this is somewhat similar to the treatment we saw with the Me Too movement in China earlier as well. So what is it about these conversations that they're so afraid of?
Right after this incident happened, many people, many women, Chinese feminists, they are commenting online that this is gender-based violence, and they're analyzing this incident from a gender perspective. However, those accounts were being suspended by Weibo. As a matter of fact, like 2 days after this incident went viral on social media, Weibo, almost 250 social media accounts were being suspended for quote unquote inciting hatred between men and women. Basically, if you're a woman or if you are trying to speak up for yourself as a woman, you're inciting hatred. And those accounts that have been targeting minorities, targeting marginalized groups, those accounts were almost never suspended under any circumstances. This accusation is almost always targeted at women and feminists. So this is a proof that feminist movement is being cracked down, and the government, the censors, and social media, they are terrified at talking about gender issues, and they're terrified at Chinese women speaking up.
Practitioners of traditional Chinese medicine and Western medicine have long viewed one another with a healthy skepticism. But in modern-day Taiwan, many people seek both forms of treatment. Now, a hospital in the central city of Taichung is working to integrate these two very different approaches to medicine. Ed Moon travelled there to learn more.
Chen Yangmin makes sure to live life to its fullest. Doctors had given up hope on the 97-year-old after she fell into a coma with sepsis. But the team at Taichung Tzu Hospital in central Taiwan had one last suggestion: Chinese medicine. Traditional Chinese medicine is widely practiced in Taiwan. and is included in the country's national health insurance program. Tzu is, however, the only place where Chinese and Western medicine are formally integrated together in patient treatment.
我们可以中医跟中医的跨科，中医跟西医的跨科，我们可以共同门诊，可以共同门诊，当然有条件的去成立这一个科的部分，共同会诊，共同写 paper。
Now in its 10th year, Tzu's Center for Combining Chinese and Western Medicine is already a regular part of the hospital's operations. For doctors trained in Western medicine, it initially took some adjustment.
我是从不熟悉到，我其实不会一开始就不认同它，而是的确是会不知道到底真实的效果是怎么样。
Shen's experience working alongside Chinese medicine practitioners has convinced him that traditional medicine has a role to play in clinical treatment.
我现在其实会对中医是抱持着开放合作的态度。那特别是经历这一次的新冠肺炎的这个疫情，其实很多民众也都因为清冠一号的关系，其实对于中医这个部分，我觉得接受度也是有提高。
Taiwan's training for medical students encourages this sort of integrated approach.
台湾的中医系，它基本上一开始的设计就是中西医的两个领域的学习，所以他毕业之后可以去考那个中医师跟西医师的执照。
Recent attempts by China's ruling Communist Party to promote the use of Chinese medicine have seen a backlash in some Western media against the practice. But in Taiwan, Mrs. Chen's family are convinced that the decision to combine Chinese medicine with Western treatment is what saved her life.
王父就是较紧要搁用水药啊，要搁加强，提升他的免疫啦。就这样，一天一天，阿嬷渐渐的起色。阿嬷一生当中都是用中药来救回来。
And with pharmacists struggling to keep up with demand for Taiwan's homegrown Chinese medicine treatment for COVID-19, it's clear traditional medicine will continue to have an important role to play in the country's medical system. Karma Xu, Ed Moon, Theo Wang, and Biqi Zhuang for TaiwanPlus.
That was part 2 in our series Fighting COVID-19 with Herbs. Be sure to join us on Friday for part 3. We'll take a look at how medical suppliers in Taiwan are building their own herb gardens to ensure their treatments are sustainable and don't have to rely on foreign imports. You can watch the 3-part series Fighting COVID-19 with Herbs everywhere TaiwanPlus is available. Stay with us here on TaiwanPlus. Coming up, a trip 400 years into Taiwan's past on a coast that's seen empires come and go. Details after the break.
Are you ready?
Let's taste test this. Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Have you ever had frog?
Why did you tell me it was frog? I'm sorry, Mommy, if you're watching this.
Duck tongue, have you had these before?
I don't think so.
Tonight might be your lucky night. Okay, today might be your lucky day.
Jason's Table, Shocked and Surprised, is on TaiwanPlus.
Welcome back. You're watching TaiwanPlus News. The number of displaced people in the world is set to increase to record highs. That's the warning from the head of the United Nations Refugee Agency. According to a UN report, nearly 90 million people worldwide had been forcibly displaced by persecution, conflict, abuse and violence by the end of 2021. Since then, millions more have fled Ukraine or been displaced within its borders. Price hikes linked to blocked grain exports are set to exacerbate this crisis.
The impact, if this is not resolved quickly, will be pretty devastating. It is already, by the way, it's not something that will happen. It is already happening, especially in terms of prices. This is really what is happening now that is very devastating for poor countries.
Japan and Australia have agreed to strengthen defence ties as China seeks to expand its influence in the Pacific. The defence ministers of the two countries met in Tokyo on Wednesday, pledging to work more closely to support democratic values in the Indo-Pacific region. They said region-wide cooperation is needed to maintain the rules-based order. The move comes as China is actively seeking security pacts with Pacific nations, starting with the Solomon Islands. Thailand has moved a step closer to marriage equality, with lawmakers giving their initial approval to legalising same-sex unions. 4 draft bills have been passed that would see same-sex couples given almost the same rights as heterosexual couples. There are still several stages before the bills can become law, but Thai LGBTQ activists say the early support is a good sign. If the bills do become law, Thailand will be the second country in Asia to legalise same-sex marriage. Taiwan was the first in 2019. European explorers travelled the world during the Great Age of maritime navigation, including to Taiwan. Today, we take a spin through the history of Spanish and Dutch sailors entering the port city of Geelong in northern Taiwan.
自从16世纪末，西葡共同的国王菲利普2世切断荷兰在欧洲的贸易管道后，荷兰便开始自组前往亚洲直接贸易的商队。17世纪初开始，欧洲海上霸权国家葡、西、荷、英的贸易竞逐从欧洲延续到东亚，加上日本对外政策的开合，使得东亚局势更加诡谲多变。1597年，日本幕府丰臣秀吉将军威胁进攻菲律宾。当时西班牙总督认为，最好的防御便是在北台湾建立据点，以观察日本的动向，且避免马尼拉首当其冲。当时制图家蒂罗留绘制了详尽的台湾地图，当中清楚地标示了基隆港。这也是台湾首度以一个完整大岛的样貌呈现在地图上。然而，西班牙的占台计划随着1598年日本丰臣秀吉之死被搁置了下来。1624年，荷兰人在南台湾建立据点，再度造成西班牙人的强烈不安，也直接冲击马尼拉对中国贸易。加上西班牙道明会士鼓吹不论要去日本或中国，埃尔摩沙岛都会是良好的中继站，促使占领北台湾计划死灰复燃。1626年，马尼拉当局决议采取行动。2月8日，派出一支小型舰队，3个月后首先抵达三雕角，并在5个小时后发现了和平岛的港口，并将其称之为至圣三位一体港。1626年5月16日，率领这支小型远征舰队的瓦德士舰长，以最高长官的身份，在马丁涅斯神父等人的见证下宣布，奉菲律宾总督暨总司令圣地亚哥骑士团骑士施尔瓦之令，并以国王陛下之名，取得并占有这座岛屿，保卫土著和城镇，并开始新竹防御工事。这是第一份西方国家宣誓占领台湾主权的正式报告。马关条约后，日本人由清朝人手中接收台湾。在台湾进入日治时期4年后，日本开始在和平岛上兴建台湾第一座新式造船厂，但圣萨尔瓦多城也从此隐没到和平岛的土地之中。日本人在和平岛的建设开启了台湾造船史的新篇章，也为和平岛注入了一股工业气息。至今我们来到和平岛， 仍然闻得到空气中掺杂着浓浓的机油味。
Netflix is launching a new reality competition series based on the hit show Squid Game. Squid Game The Challenge will offer the largest cash prize in the history of reality TV. 456 players will compete to be the sole winner of a $4.5 million jackpot. Netflix says competitors won't face life-threatening challenges like those seen in the original scripted show. At worst, they will go home empty-handed. Squid Game is the most popular show on Netflix ever. The platform announced Monday that a second season is in the works. South Korea's superstar boy band BTS is not, in fact, taking a break, as their fans had feared. The band's 7 members released a video on Tuesday saying they were going on hiatus and to pursue their own projects. The news hit the band's worldwide fans hard, and the stock price of their management company even harder. Hybe dropped some $1.7 billion in value in Wednesday's trading. The company now says hiatus was a mistranslation and the group is not going their separate ways. It says BTS will be working on both group and individual projects. Thank you for watching TaiwanPlus News. I'm Yin Khvat. Finally today, we leave you with images of people in the heat wave in France, which saw temperatures soar to 40 degrees Celsius. For more stories from Taiwan and around the world, please download the TaiwanPlus app. Stay safe and see you next time.